The private jet touched down just after sunrise, trailing smoke from one damaged engine as emergency vehicles raced alongside the runway. Every minute it remained grounded, a billion-dollar merger hung in the balance, hundreds of jobs stood at risk, and one of the world's most powerful CEOs faced the biggest deadline of his career. Mechanics from 3 aviation companies had already inspected the aircraft and walked away shaking their heads. Then someone mentioned the name of a quiet single father who repaired airplanes better than anyone else but had never cared about fame. Before noon, the billionaire stood in front of that modest maintenance hangar and made an offer that would change 2 lives forever. He looked at the grease-covered mechanic and declared that if the jet could fly before sunset, he could name absolutely any price. Before we continue this unforgettable story, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to Lifeline Tales. Your support helps these stories reach more hearts around the world. Morning sunlight spilled across the small regional airport where Rowan Mercer had already been working for hours. While executives were waking in luxury hotels and business travelers hurried toward boarding gates with expensive coffee in their hands, Rowan was tightening bolts beneath the wing of an aging cargo plane. His hands were rough, stained with oil that never seemed to wash away completely, but every movement carried years of experience and quiet confidence. There was no audience to applaud his work, no magazine waiting to interview him, and no social media account celebrating his talent. The airplane simply flew safely because he cared enough to repair them as if his own family were on board every flight. For Rowan, every morning followed nearly the same rhythm. Before dawn he prepared breakfast, packed a small lunch, and woke his 8-year-old son, Nolan, with a gentle smile instead of an alarm. The little boy had inherited his mother's bright eyes and his father's calm heart. Since losing his wife, Rowan had learned to become both parents at once. He braided school projects instead of hair, learned recipes that often failed before finally succeeding, attended every parent-teacher meeting, and never missed reading a bedtime story, no matter how exhausted he felt after 12-hour shifts. His paycheck barely covered rent, school supplies, and medical bills left behind from his wife's illness, but he refused to complain. Nolan believed his father could fix anything in the world, and Rowan tried every day to deserve that belief. The airport employees respected Rowan in ways they rarely expressed aloud. New mechanics watched him diagnose complicated engine failures simply by listening to the vibration of spinning turbines. Veteran pilots trusted him without hesitation because they knew he never accepted shortcuts. If a repair required another hour, another inspection, or another replacement part, Rowan insisted on doing it properly. Some supervisors considered him stubborn, but passengers who never learned his name unknowingly owed their safe journeys to his determination. That peaceful routine shattered when a convoy of black luxury vehicles rolled through the airport gates. Security personnel stepped out first, scanning every corner of the maintenance area before opening the rear door for the visitor everyone instantly recognized. Adrian Vale, the billionaire CEO of one of the largest aerospace technology companies in the country, walked across the concrete with remarkable speed despite the expensive suit that clearly belonged in a boardroom rather than an aircraft hangar. His expression revealed a man carrying enormous pressure. Behind him followed lawyers, executives, assistants, and security officers, each speaking urgently into phones as though the entire day depended on the next few minutes. Word spread quickly among the mechanics that Adrian's private jet had suffered severe engine damage after ingesting debris during an emergency landing. Specialized technicians from major aviation companies had already examined the aircraft but estimated repairs would take at least 2 days. Adrian did not have 2 days. That evening's international meeting would decide the future of thousands of employees working across multiple factories. Missing it could destroy years of negotiations and force painful layoffs around the world. Most people expected Rowan to feel intimidated when the billionaire approached him. Instead, he calmly wiped his hands on an old cloth and finished tightening the last bolt before standing up. His focus remained entirely on the work in front of him until it was complete. Only then did he give Adrian his full attention. It was the kind of quiet professionalism that could not be bought with wealth or influence. The damaged jet stood only a short distance away, its polished body contrasting sharply with the modest surroundings of the maintenance hangar. Engineers had surrounded it with equipment and warning signs, yet nobody seemed confident enough to begin the repair. Rowan slowly circled the aircraft, studying every detail. He climbed onto the inspection platform, examined the engine housing, listened carefully while another mechanic rotated the turbine by hand, and closed his eyes for several seconds. The crowd waited in complete silence. Adrian watched the mechanic with growing curiosity. He had spent his life evaluating brilliant executives, inventors, and investors, but this man possessed a different kind of intelligence. Rowan's confidence came not from speeches or impressive titles but from years of solving impossible problems without expecting recognition. Every movement suggested patience, discipline, and respect for the machines entrusted to him. The billionaire finally made the promise everyone nearby would remember for years. If Rowan could have the aircraft safely ready before sunset, he could ask for any amount of money. There would be no negotiation, no limit, and no questions asked. Advisors standing nearby exchanged nervous glances because they expected the humble mechanic to demand enough money to transform generations of his family's future. Rowan remained silent for a long moment. Instead of imagining luxury homes or expensive cars, his thoughts drifted toward a small bedroom where Nolan kept a collection of toy airplanes hanging from the ceiling with thin strings. The child dreamed of becoming an aerospace engineer someday, often filling notebooks with imaginative aircraft designs that looked impossible yet strangely beautiful. Rowan smiled almost invisibly before returning his attention to the damaged engine. Without answering the offer immediately, he requested access to the maintenance logs, technical manuals, inspection reports, and every failed diagnostic test performed that morning. Several highly paid engineers appeared offended that a local mechanic wanted to the final repair demanded absolute precision, and Rowan refused to rush even with dozens of anxious executives watching every move. Hour after hour, he carefully replaced the damaged coupling, recalibrated the engine, inspected every fuel line, and personally checked each safety system twice. As the afternoon sun poured through the hangar windows, the jet's engines finally roared back to life with a smooth, powerful sound that silenced everyone. The vibration that had terrified the earlier inspection teams had completely disappeared. After a lengthy taxi test and a final inspection, Rowan signed the maintenance release with complete confidence. The aircraft was ready to fly. Relief spread across the airport. Engineers who had doubted him applauded quietly, pilots smiled with admiration, and Adrian Vale stood speechless as months of negotiations were suddenly saved by one humble mechanic who had never asked for recognition. The billionaire walked toward Rowan with gratitude written across his face. As promised, he told Rowan that any amount of money was his. Millions of dollars, a luxury home, or even a lifetime contract, anything he wanted would be his without hesitation. Rowan looked toward the bright afternoon sky before thinking of his son waiting at school. Money had never been the greatest dream in his heart. After losing his wife, he had learned that the most valuable things in life could never be purchased. Taking a slow breath, he finally revealed the only thing he wished for. He asked Adrian not for wealth, but for an opportunity. His son, Nolan, dreamed of becoming an aerospace engineer, yet Rowan knew he could never afford the education or opportunities such a dream required. He simply asked that when Nolan grew older, if he worked hard enough and earned it through merit, someone would open a door instead of judging him because his father was only a mechanic. The request stunned everyone. The executives expected greed but witnessed pure fatherly love instead. Adrian's eyes filled with emotion because he remembered growing up with a father who had sacrificed everything so his own dreams could survive. At that moment, he realized Rowan had repaired far more than a jet. He had reminded a billionaire of the value success had almost made him forget. Instead of granting only that single request, Adrian established the Mercer Aviation Scholars Program, funding the education of children from hardworking families who dreamed of careers in aviation. Nolan became the very first student accepted years later, not because of favoritism, but because he earned every opportunity through dedication and exceptional talent. Rowan remained the same humble mechanic, continuing to arrive before sunrise each day, proud not of the fortune he could have accepted, but of the future he had helped build for countless families. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your friends, leave a comment, and subscribe to Lifeline Tales so we can continue bringing you inspiring stories of hope and kindness.